You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
You didn't find this by accident. Not now, not in this moment. Out of billions of signals moving through time, space, and unseen layers of reality, this one reached you. Pause for a breath. Feel that subtle pull in your chest, that quiet recognition. That is not curiosity, that is remembrance. And if you feel even a slight resonance right now, understand what that implies. This message is already moving through you, not just towards you. So ground yourself for a second, not by forcing anything, just by noticing. If this feels familiar, like something ancient inside you is leaning forward, then let this moment be witnessed. Because this moment isn't casual, it's activated. There are moments in a soul's journey where time bends, moments where the veil thins, moments where what was hidden no longer hides. It waits. This is one of those moments. You are not just scrolling. You are not just searching. You are being guided toward language your mind couldn't produce, but your field has been craving. Long before your name was spoken in this lifetime, long before your body took its first breath, you sensed it. There was an agreement written into your path, an agreement that said, at the precise intersection of readiness and remembrance, the laws will reveal themselves. Not laws created by humans, not rules enforced by fear, but deeper laws, living principles woven into reality itself. And for reasons most will never understand, they were kept from you, hidden in symbols, encoded in myths, buried beneath noise, guarded by distraction until now, because not every soul is meant to remember at the same time. Some incarnate to forget completely, some incarnate to follow, some incarnate to obey the surface world and never question it. But a rare frequency incarnates to wake up while still inside the dream. If you're here, it's because your soul has reached the edge of forgetting. You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that the world you were handed never quite fit. That the version of success you were sold felt hollow. That even joy felt temporary, like something was missing beneath it all. You tried to name it purpose, truth, home. But none of those words were enough, because what you were actually missing was your own power. Not power over people, power of alignment, power of resonance, power of remembrance. And the first hidden law begins exactly here. Before there can be manifestation, there must be identity. Not the name you answer to, not the role you perform, but the frequency you occupy. You are not a body trying to become spiritual. You are consciousness temporarily wearing form, and consciousness responds to recognition. That's where people were taught incorrectly. You were taught to want harder, push harder, struggle harder, sacrifice your essence for outcomes. You were taught that the universe responds to effort, to grinding, to chasing. But the hidden law whispers something far more dangerous to systems built on control. You do not attract what you desire. You attract what you are willing to embody. This is why effort without alignment exhausts a soul. This is why affirmation without feeling feels empty. This is why vision without frequency collapses. Reality doesn't respond to words. It responds to state. It responds to coherence. And as you listen right now, something subtle is adjusting. Not your thoughts, your vibration. Imagine for a moment an emerald light, not visual but felt, unfurling behind your heart, not forcing itself open, simply remembering how. This emerald frequency is ancient. It predates language. It carries the signature of balance, truth, and live in creation. When this frequency activates, false urgency dissolves. Scarcity loses its grip. Time loosens its hold. You begin to feel on schedule. And here is where urgency returns. Not as fear, but as clarity. Not everyone will hear these laws in time. Not everyone will feel this activation before life hardens them into repetition. But you are here now, which means the signal reached you while the door is still open. The Hermetic teachings spoke of this in riddles, as within, so without. But the deeper layer was rarely spoken aloud, because within doesn't mean thought. It means coherence. When your inner world, emotion, belief, identity, expectation, aligns into a single tone, reality bends toward it. This is resonance. This is attraction without strain. This is why two people can speak the same words and receive opposite outcomes. One is fragmented, the other is unified. And unity is magnetic. Sacred geometry was never decoration. Every spiral, every triangle, every vesica and flower. Reminders that creation expands through patterned harmony, not chaos. Your life follows geometry too. When your actions, emotions, and self-image collapse into symmetry, doors open. Not dramatic ones with thunder and special effects. Quiet ones. Timing, encounters, opportunities, invitations that feel impossible to explain. You've had them before. Moments where something arrived too perfectly to be coincidence. Those weren't accidents. Those were alignments. And now as you listen, numbers may begin to echo. 1111, 333, 707, 1212. These are not predictions. They are confirmations. They appear when consciousness crosses thresholds, when awareness catches up to destiny, when the soul whispers, yes, this direction. If you've been seeing them more frequently, it's because your internal clock is syncing with a larger rhythm. There is a moment, and it is closer than it feels, when remembering becomes irreversible. Once you feel your power, you cannot unfeel it. Once you sense your role, you cannot unknow it. Once you recognize patterns, the illusion begins to crack. This is why these laws were hidden. Not because they are dangerous, but because they are liberating. A liberated soul does not obey fear, does not worship limitation, does not outsource authority. A liberated soul aligns, and reality follows. Take another breath. Notice how this doesn't feel like information. It feels like activation, like something ancient inside you is leaning forward, listening closely, saying, finally. This is only the first doorway. There are more laws waiting, layered, precise, alive, each one peeling back another veil. But before we cross further, anchor this moment. If this stirred something real in you, if you felt seen rather than entertained, leave a trace of your presence. A quiet comment, a word, a symbol, a location, a feeling you can't fully name yet. Because when intention is witnessed, it stabilizes. Something has already shifted since these words reached you, hasn't it? Not loudly, not dramatically, subtly, the way tides move beneath the surface long before waves are seen. You may not be able to explain it yet, but your field knows. And that is how true activation always begins. There is a reason this knowledge was fragmented, diluted, and scattered across centuries. There is a reason it survived only in whispers, symbols, and initiations. Because once you understand this law, you stop asking when. You stop begging how. You stop waiting for permission. You begin emitting, and reality responds. The second hidden law is this. Your life is not shaped by what happens to you. It is shaped by the frequency you continuously broadcast. Not occasionally. Not only when you meditate. Not only when you're inspired. Continuously. Every emotion you linger in. Every identity you rehearse. Every inner dialogue you return to. These are not private. They are signals. Reality isn't listening to your words. It is responding to your state. And this is where most souls lose power without realizing it. You were taught to focus on action, to fix outcomes, to control circumstances. But action without frequency is friction. You can move endlessly and still go nowhere if your internal signal is distorted. Two souls can perform the same ritual, the same affirmation, the same work, and only one sees results. Why? Because only one is coherent. Coherence is alignment between thought, emotion, identity, and expectation. When these layers speak the same language, manifestation accelerates. When they contradict each other, energy leaks. This is why wanting something intensely often pushes it further away. Desire mixed with doubt creates static. Hope mixed with fear creates interference. But calm, embodied knowing creates a clean signal. And clean signals travel far. Close your awareness around this for a moment. Imagine your entire being as a luminous field, vibrating, responsive. Every feeling shifts its color. Every belief alters its tone. Gratitude deepens the green. Fear clouds it. Authenticity sharpens it. Self-betrayal distorts it. You are not punished for low frequency. You are simply answered by it. Reality is not judging you. It is mirroring you. This is why repeating affirmations while secretly believing the opposite feels exhausting. Your field knows when you're lying to yourself, and reality always sides with the deeper truth, not the louder one. Here is the part that was deliberately left out of most teachings. You do not raise your frequency by pretending to be happy. You raise it by becoming honest, by letting suppressed emotions complete their cycle, by releasing identities that no longer fit, by choosing alignment over performance. Frequency rises naturally when resistance dissolves, and resistance dissolves when you stop trying to become someone else. This is where urgency returns quietly but clearly. You cannot afford to live in emotional autopilot anymore. Every prolonged state becomes a vote. Every repeated reaction becomes a direction. Every unlived truth becomes weight. And weight lowers frequency. Sacred traditions encoded this law in symbols rather than statements. The spiral represents evolution without force. The circle represents wholeness. The triangle represents alignment of inner, outer, and higher. When these geometries overlap, portals form, not in the sky, in consciousness. Moments where insight lands, where decisions feel obvious, where paths converge. You felt these moments before. Times when saying yes felt inevitable. Times when walking away felt necessary, even painful. Those were frequency corrections. And yes, repeating numbers often appear during these recalibrations, not to predict events, but to confirm alignment. When you see them, it can mean your internal rhythm is syncing with a larger pattern. You're no longer resisting the current. You're moving with intention. But here's the truth, few will tell you. Frequency work is not comfortable. As your signal stabilizes, anything incompatible begins to shake loose. Relationships strain. Old desires lose their appeal. False ambitions collapse. This is not loss. This is liberation. Space clears to match your new tone. If things have been falling apart recently, if plans dissolved, identities cracked, attachments loosened, this was not failure. This was tuning, Instruments must be adjusted before symphonies can be played. And your life is preparing for a different melody. Take a breath here. Feel into your body. Notice which emotions feel familiar, habitual, almost rehearsed. Those are frequencies you've mastered. Now ask yourself gently, without judgment, are they still serving the version of me that wants to emerge? Because the moment you choose differently, not dramatically, but consistently, your entire trajectory shifts. You don't need to fix your whole life. You need to stabilize your signal. Everything else follows. If this resonated not intellectually but viscerally, anchor it. Acknowledge yourself for being here, for listening beyond sound, for feeling beyond words. If it feels aligned, stay connected to this transmission, because what comes next builds on this. It goes deeper. Before we continue, let me ask you quietly and sincerely. Before anything changes around you, something must shift within the identity you answer to. Not your legal name, not your story, but the self you silently agree to inhabit every day. This is where manifestation either accelerates or quietly collapses. The third hidden law is this: reality organizes itself around the identity you claim as normal, not the version of you that dreams at night, not the version that appears in moments of inspiration, the version you expect yourself to be when no one is watching. That expectation is powerful. It instructs the world on how to treat you. Most souls never realize they are loyal to an outdated self-image. They outgrow it internally, but continue living from it behaviorally. They feel called to expansion, but keep responding as the old version would. And reality, precise and obedient, keeps delivering experiences that match the identity still in use, not as punishment, as alignment. Identity is not a thought. It is a baseline frequency. It is the answer to questions you never consciously ask. What do I deserve? What is normal for me? What outcomes make sense in my life? Those answers shape your field long before desire enters the picture. This is why wanting more while identifying as someone who struggles creates internal conflict. The desire reaches forward, the identity pulls back, and a stronger one wins. Worthiness is not earned, it is claimed, and claims create gravitational pull. Let this land gently. Your life is not reflecting your potential. It is reflecting your self-concept. The version of you that feels realistic. The version you unconsciously defend. The version you return to after hope fades. That version is doing the manifesting. This is why sudden breakthroughs feel surreal. They violate identity. They arrive as exceptions, not patterns. Because the self-image hasn't updated yet, and reality defaults back to the familiar until the identity shifts. In ancient traditions, identity change was ritualized. Names were altered, symbols were given, thresholds were crossed. Not for drama, but to anchor a new self-concept into the nervous system. Because the body must accept the new identity before reality can reflect it consistently. And here's the part rarely spoken. You cannot manifest a life that contradicts who you believe yourself to be. Reality will not override your self-definition. It respects consent. And identity is consent made unconscious. So ask yourself, not dramatically but honestly, who am I agreeing to be repeatedly? The one who waits, the one who adapts, the one who survives, the one who plays small to stay safe, or the one who expects alignment, trusts timing, receives without apology, moves when resonance calls? Identity shifts do not require announcements. They require consistency. Small choices aligned with a new self-concept. Different reactions, different boundaries, different standards for how energy is exchanged. Each time you act from the new identity, the field recalibrates. Reality notices. This is where urgency returns, not panic. Timing. You are closer to the edge than you think. Old identities feel heavy now because they are expired. They served a purpose. They got you here, but they cannot take you further. If your life has felt suspended lately, not falling apart, not moving forward, this is identity recalibration. A pause between frequencies, a breath between selves. You are standing in the overlap between who you were and who you are becoming. Anchor this moment. Witness yourself. If this challenged how you see yourself, honor that awareness. Stay connected if it feels aligned. I wish you all the best. And until next time.